Welcome to another edition of DrWhitty Today. Our guest today is Dr. Aidin Brown, a renowned author, speaker, entrepreneur, and coach dedicated to servant leadership and personal growth. Through his dynamic presentations and compassionate guidance, he empowers diverse audiences to unlock their full potential. As a passionate philanthropist, Dr. Brown champions education, youth empowerment, and community transformation. He serves as executive chairman of Monhers Enterprise LLC, president of ADSL Pro Inc., and chairman of SAW Fire Life Management Inc., while mentoring graduate students at Regent University and the University of Technology, Jamaica. Dr. Brown holds degrees in criminal justice and organizational leadership, and a doctorate in strategic leadership from Regent University. He is a certified professional coach through the IAPRC. In his spare time, Dr. Brown enjoys traveling, cooking, reading, and playing tennis. Listeners and viewers, here and at home, let's get started with our host, Dr. Whitty.
All right, welcome to Dr. Whitty Today. I hope everybody out there is feeling great. And we just want to welcome our guest host today, Dr. Aidin Brown. How are you, sir?
I am doing great. Thank you for asking, Dr. Whitty. And how about you?
I'm doing fantastic. I just can't wait to get this interview going because we've been waiting
Sounds
for a while.
perfect.
And I'm just excited to delve into your awesome book, Beneath the Crown. And so I felt, since that book is so awesome, that we had to name
Thank you.
tonight's episode after your book. All right.
Thank you. I'm honored.
You're welcome. My pleasure. First, I want to say, is there anything that you would like to share with my listeners and viewers that was not already mentioned in your bio?
Well, that's an interesting pointer, and I will say that it does say that I love to cook. I enjoy cooking, but the greatest thing with cooking is when you cook the meal that you actually enjoy eating as well. And I'm a fan of oxtails, so I'll add that to that part.
It's funny you mentioned that. Um, my producer was talking. I think I don't know if he ate them, but I know a couple days ago he was talking about oxtails on the menu. So I haven't had them. If I have, I didn't know it. But maybe one day I'll have to try them.
Well, please, you need to, and if you haven't, you're missing out.
All right, all right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get this interview under wraps. First of all, thank you for taking time out to come on to the platform. I know you're busy. I see all the things that you're involved in, not only on your platforms, but also just through looking at and reading your bio. And I want to tell you before we even get started that your book is awesome. Beneath the Crown, Leadership Rooted in Service, Passion, and Purpose. I have one more part to read. I've read it all the way to the beginning of part 4, and I promise I'm going to be done this week. But this is an awesome book. So as we talk about it, I'm going to be encouraging the listeners and viewers to get this book wherever it is sold. I know this one came from Amazon, but I'm sure it's available on your platform, soon to be on my platform, and also at Amazon and wherever else it may be listed. So, but we'll talk more about that later. If you could,
Yes, sir.
if you could say how you are feeling in one word, what word would that be and why?
Elated. And why? When you have been down a path of struggles, disappointments, and negativity, and to have reached to a point where you are an author, you have written books, you are speaking, you are invited to share on your new publications. Today alone, the word elated is what describes me because one, not only am I talking about my new book here with you, but my article in the Christian Coaching magazine was published today on sanctified silence. So I'm just elated today.
Great.
So it's a big day.
Sanctified silence. Sanctified silence. That sounds like something I need to read, right? We'll
I
talk
made a
about
post
that
on LinkedIn
later.
earlier, so yes.
I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check that one out. So, but we won't talk about it now. We'll stay focused on beneath the crown. All right. So, first of all, what inspired the title Beneath the Crown, and how does it reflect the essence of your leadership philosophy?
Thank you for that. And let me say good evening to the viewers. And thank you for having me, Dr. Whitty. I appreciate the opportunity. And to answer your question, what inspired the title? The title Beneath the Crown speaks to what lies under the visible symbols of leadership. Beyond the title, recognition, and or status, it represents the unseen foundation, a heart commitment of service, a spirit ignited by passion, and a mind anchored in purpose. My leadership philosophy, though, excuse me, is that true greatness isn't found in the crown we wear, not in the positions that we hold as director, supervisor, managers, vice president, but in the character we build, the lives we impact, and the humility with what we share with others. The title invites leaders to examine their motives. And remember, the leadership is more than just what we give, than more to what we gain.
All right. Thank you for that answer. And as you were talking, it just made me think that as I was reading the different sections and the different parts, and you broke down the questions that leaders should be asking themselves, I just thought of that as you said that your book uh, was geared to cause people to take a look at themselves and do the inner checks and the inner work to ask themselves, why do they want to be a leader? Do they want to be a leader for uh, position wise, notoriety, fame, or do they really want to be a leader because they want to serve? Uh, they want to serve, humanity, or serve a community, or serve
Yes,
society at large. So, yeah, thank you for that. You emphasize service, passion, and purpose. So, how do these principles transform someone from a positional leader into a transformational leader?
that's an interesting one. I remember this brings me back to a presentation that we made a few years ago. And the emphasis on service, passion, and purpose serves basically service aligns leadership with empathy, excuse me, and selflessness. Passion fuels the resilience and inspires others. Purpose now brings clarity and direction. When leaders embody the all three of these, right? They move beyond simply managing to transforming the people and the systems around them. They no longer basically rely on the position or the authority that they hold, but instead they lead with influence and vision and impact. Basically, these principles awaken the sense of responsibility to elevate others because we're there to serve others, not to manage them, but to serve them, which basically is the hallmark of transformational leadership, I would say.
Thank you, thank you. Isn't it interesting that even the Bible talks about that Jesus came to serve and not to be served, right? And isn't it interesting that a lot of people's idea today about leadership is, hey, I want to be a leader so that I can be seen, so that I can be served, so that I can be situated in the best rooms or the best seats or whatever. It's really interesting that many of us, and I'll just say us as people, um, we have a vague concept of what leadership should be. And so I like the fact that also you talk about in your book that leadership is not a static, it's a complete journey. Like
Hmm.
there's no arrival in leadership. And I think as soon as leaders think that they've arrived, that's when influence is over, because
Yes.
your followers can tell when you have the "I have arrived" and "I'm the big I, little you" type of attitude. And so um, that's a good way that you explain that in your book, that leadership is not a destination, it's not static, but it's a complete life journey. It's always transitioning and it's always changing. So I think that's really important. That's an important nugget for us to remember to take with us.
And if I may add, Dr. Whitty, I'm sorry, if I may add, one of the thing is even with people who serve in authority, leadership roles, managers, supervisors, directors, when they have arrived at the positions that they hold, it's there's to majority of them, the ones that I've seen, they don't see themselves as okay. I need to learn more. I need to grow more. For them, it's no, I am the boss. I am the director. I'm the manager. I'm the supervisor. So I don't need further training. I don't need to expose myself to this or read more books or enhance my leadership. For them, it's I've arrived at. And that's why my point is leadership is not an arrived at moment. It is a continuous journey.
All right, thank you. So, in your journey, Dr. Brown, was there ever a moment where servant leadership radically changed an outcome or a relationship?
Yes, I would say yes. There was a situation where a team I led was struggling with trust and performance. And it's interesting, rather than enforcing the stricter rules, as a leader, I had to listen, serve their needs, and to remove any doubt or obstacle that was in their way. And one of my greatest thing is how may I serve you? How can I make your job easier? Because at the end of the day, they do their job, it's going to look better on me. So I have to make sure that they have the tools, the resources, everything that they need to make it work for them. And by prioritizing their growth and well-being, which is crucial, the culture was shifted. Moral improved, collaboration increased, and performance soared. That expectation cemented the belief that servant leadership isn't weakness, because a lot of people think it is. It's wisdom in action because again, it goes back to serving the people.
Exactly, exactly. I was just thinking about the word that you use throughout your book, which was the word humility. And that is something that many leaders are lacking.
Hmm.
Is
Yes.
that humility, that humble part. And that's something that I actually did my research on. Um, it wasn't on the word humility by itself, but my research was on cultural humility. And basically, that was cultural humility is being self-aware, knowing
Mm-hmm.
knowing what your personal biases are towards other cultures, but being
Yeah.
open and being willing to learn about aspects of other people's cultures and learning something about other people that's important to them and not just what you want to know about them. And so
Mm-hmm.
my research was basically on culturally humble leaders and how they impact organizations and how they either influence people to leave or stay with an organization. And so that's really important. And a lot of leaders have not embraced humility because um, they may, I won't say they do, but I believe that it's because most believe that if you show humbleness or humility, that it's a sign of weakness. But like you said, it's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a
Mm-hmm.
sign of strength because it takes somebody to really know who they are and to really want to serve, to be able to be humble enough to own whatever situation. Just like you own what works well, you have to own what doesn't work well. And you have to be
Yes.
willing to be open to listen first. As you said in your book, we have to learn how to listen first. I often hear people say that's why we got two ears and one mouth,
Here's
because listening is more important, right? Learn how to
yes.
listen first and then speak afterwards. So, yeah, that's an interesting point. Humility for us all as leaders to be able to embrace.
Yes, and I'll just maybe add a little bit to that for the humility part of it is not because you hold that position or that title, then once you accept the opportunity to serve, to lead people, remember it is service. So we have to give up of the old man and think of what comes with the title of leadership now. And one of them is, okay, I need to be humble.
Exactly. All right. So let's see. How do leaders maintain authenticity and humility in environments that often reward ego and self promotion?
All right, so that's an interesting one. um, one of the thing is I often tell people that with leadership, it's about thinking how and putting yourself into the position of others. So how are we going to do this? How are you going to do that, right? It is understanding your purpose as going into this role and establishing your framework in how you want to lead and how you want to see the situation turn out. So I'll just stray a little bit because one of the thing is when you look at it from an angle of okay, not because I am this person, how impactful am I? At the end of the day, and I'll just add this, at the end of the day, what do you say to yourself after leaving your work or leaving your office, leaving the people that you lead? Can you look back and say to yourself, how did your leadership impact or influence today? The people that you lead, the people that you encounter, the people that you engage with. And too often we see where so many instances where, okay, I've done my part. I don't need to do a self-assessment or to look back on how today went. But that is a part of one humility and also how is it that your leadership is influencing the people around you?
I like how you said that. I think when it comes to uh, feedback about our leadership, I think many people fear it because sometimes it's hard to take that look at yourself because you want to believe that you know you did a fantastic job. You want to believe that everybody views you the way you that you look at yourself. And so the
Yes.
reality is you view yourself one way, somebody else views you another, and another person views you another way. And so we have to be humble enough to be able to receive that feedback. We call it what 360-degree feedback from the people that we lead, and sometimes even from people that we don't lead, but people who just observe us on a daily basis. And so, if we
Mm-hmm.
want to become better, if we want to become better leaders, we have to be open to that feedback and that input. And sometimes it's
Yes.
going to be input that we don't want to hear. Most of the time, it will be if people are really honest. Most of the time, it'll be something for a while that you don't want to hear because there are things that we have to. We are imperfect beings, so we have to hear it so that
Mm-hmm.
we can get better. And the only way to get better is to be open and humble enough to receive that feedback.
And constructive criticism is so important to a leadership journey.
Yes. All right. So you mentor graduate students. So, what wisdom from beneath the crown do you find yourself sharing most with emerging leaders?
That is an interesting one. Now, when I think about it, it's about creating a deeper roots in how you lead. Um, I use a lot of the techniques and the notes from the book. And when you look at the mentorship relationship, not only for those, but one of them is I often say, I remember having a conversation with my mentee from UTech, and I was so elated again to see she posted something on LinkedIn and tagged me in the entire post. And I often say, make sure you leave a legacy, an impact that will leave a legacy for a lifetime. And when you have your name and your influence that is very impactful, that generations to come will see how you have created that transformation for others. So for me, it's about one word: service. And if I may add, like UTech, that's a University of Technology in Jamaica. That is the University of Technology in Jamaica, UTech. And I'm here in Florida, but yet still, I am still serving in this capacity. Um, I will say my mentee from Regent University, he was awarded the President's Medal of Honor, I think. And that made me feel so good. And I was in rooms that I see him now in those rooms too. And it's all about leaving that legacy of impact.
Good, good. And legacy is not just what we leave tangible, uh, but legacy is all the people that we influence and that we impact as we
Yes,
go through
yes.
our journey of leadership. So, thank you for that. So, um, like myself, and I'm sure you too, many people struggle with balance and service with self care. So, how does your framework address that tension?
Thank you for that, and you're welcome. I must say, the Beneath the Crown book, the framework, it teaches that sustainable service flows from a full cup, right? Servant leaders must honor their wellness. And sometimes we work so hard that we forget to even take a break for ourselves, but not as an act of selfishness, but as a form of stewardship. I emphasize basically rhythm of rest, simple rest, boundaries, and self reflection. You cannot pour into an empty vessel, right? And burnout doesn't serve anyone well. So take the time, prioritize. And one thing I often say to leaders: get yourself a coach. If you can't do it, get yourself a coach. You need that support.
And you are correct. That's one of the things that they teach us as coaches and psychologists, therapists. That's one of the principles that they teach us. If you are a coach, you should have a coach. You probably should also
Yes.
have a therapist. If you are a therapist, you should have a therapist, and you probably should have a coach. There are lots of people that are, as a matter of fact, I was listening to somebody today who said that he was talking. Well, I was listening to another coach talk about how he was talking to his therapist, and
Mm,
just the information that helped to transform his life. And so, people have to understand that just because you might be a coach or a therapist, that you've arrived and you've got it all together, but we're human beings too, and we also have
yes.
um, uh, to work on self care. Um,
Yes.
I think
Yes.
about, and I've shared this before on other podcasts, but I had one little episode. Well, I won't say little. I'll just say I had an episode. But I realized that that was a moment where I did not recognize that I was under a lot of stress, and so, sometimes events just continue to pile up on each other. And then if you're not careful and if you're not self-aware, you will, be stressed out, have an anxiety attack, a panic attack, whatever. And if you don't have that support structure or someone that you can reach out to talk to, who holds space for you,
Mm-hmm.
um, you will do things like, as the new term is, unlife yourself. You will harm yourself. You may harm
Yes.
others. So it's important to recognize that, as leaders and also as, us as coaches, that we have to practice. I mean, we have to balance our service with self care. And just, even if you're not a therapist or counselor or whatever, just being a leader, you still have to manage your service, and self care, because a lot of times you just go, 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 and you're serving, 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 and uh, you're not taking care of yourself. And so that can be dangerous, for anybody, but especially dangerous, for leaders.
If I may add, Dr. Wade, one other thing, two things, two pointers. One, in the religious setting, I love when when a church service is finished and the believers decide to pray for the minister, the preacher, the pastor. Because I often say this, when the preacher, the minister, the pastor pours out his or her heart and soul to the congregation, who is there to build him up or her up? Who's there to pray for them? And they're human beings like everybody else. And I will go to the corporate world. If you are a leader, make sure you surround yourself with leaders who can enhance your leadership. You read the books, you go to leadership training, get yourself a leadership coach, because we all need that support system.
Exactly. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was really popular. Um, and maybe somebody can put it in the chat, or maybe you'll remember. But it was a guy, I guess he had gotten injured, but he was put in a little machine, and it was like he woke up in another world, and he had his legs and everything. And it was really like this. It wasn't a cartoon movie, but um I'm not sure what to classify it, but I can't think of the name of the movie. But he had his legs, and he could do a lot, but his appearance, they were like really large people. um, but the point I'm trying to make is, in that, oh, there it is, Avatar. Thank you for that. Avatar. And I remember the guy was going back and forth about something, and one of the women from the tribe that I guess he was going to be a part of, she poked
Mm-hmm.
him in the neck or something, and she tasted his blood, and then she told him that, basically, a vessel that's already full can't be filled. And so basically she was telling him, basically, that he could not be helped because he thought he had the answers, he thought he knew everything. And so until he was able to uh, empty himself of what he thought was the way, and then allow somebody
Wow.
else to pour into him, that he would not be effective at being or doing what his purpose was for him to fulfill. And so that's what
Yes.
came to mind as you were talking, about, being full or being not full. That's what came to mind, because a lot of times, um, we, not just, as leaders, coaches, but just as people, um, our vessel, we can't pour from an empty vessel. So
Mm-mm.
that 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 falls under that self-care and that maintenance. And so we can go, 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 and pour, 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 but we also have to be willing to be poured into.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because if we don't, and we don't take care of ourselves, we will begin to, out of our emptiness and out of our desperation to prove that we're great leaders, or coaches or whatever, we can
Yes.
project the wrong things onto our followers and people who we influence. So, thank you for that answer on balancing service and
You are
self
most
care, because
welcome.
we want people. we want people to know that it's important, and it's even more important these days because of how busy people are, how we face all these different challenges with social media and things that are going on today with our commander in chief. It's just a whole lot of things that people are dealing with, their home life, their work life. And so we have to learn how to, I don't like to say work life balance because I'm not sure that work can really work and our home life can ever really be balanced. So I just call it work life fitness because we have to be mentally and physically fit to be able to handle every aspect
Yes.
of our life. So we have to be aware of what's going on, not only outside, but on the inside of us each and every day. Go ahead.
And I'll add this to and I'll add this too. It's having mental toughness, especially for today when we have so many things to deal with as leaders. And as you mentioned, the commander in chief, there's so many things. And we or everyone who holds a leadership role should have that because mental health is real. And if we don't have the mental toughness to handle personal work and everything that comes at us, we will just and that is why we definitely need to have the support system. And I'll say there are so many, or if you are not aware of it, let's find out where there are leadership seminars, leadership workshop, leadership retreats, and go rebuild, revive, rejuvenate, and come back to make it work for you again.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, this is a great place for us to go into our commercial break. We are having a great conversation with Dr. Aidin Brown, the author of Beneath the Crown. Get it, get it, get it, get it. If you don't have it, get it, get it, get it, get it. So if you're out there, put that in the chat. Say, get it, get it, get it.
Get
We're
it,
going to
get
go
it,
to
get
a commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back here with Dr. Aidin Brown to talk more about Beneath the Crown. We'll be right back.
What does leadership look like when it's stripped of ego and rooted in service? In Beneath the Crown, Dr. Aidin Brown delivers a transformational guide for leading with heart, humility, and unwavering purpose. This is not about chasing titles, it's about igniting impact. This book is a blueprint for visionaries ready to build legacy through service and authenticity. Step beneath the crown, lead with passion, live with purpose. Beneath the Crown is available now, so pick up your copy today and begin challenging your mindset and elevating your mission.
Dr. Candicia Randolph's book, The Black American Church, Leadership Dispensation and Challenges, critically examines leadership within the Black church, drawing from historical and anthropological perspectives. It identifies challenges faced by this vital institution in the Black American community and proposes practical solutions. The church's impact on Black culture and leadership is explored, emphasizing its historical context and influence over nearly 5 centuries. Through research and data, the manuscript aims to enhance the church's effectiveness and cultural relevance. Get your copy where books are sold today.
And we are back with Dr. Aidin Brown talking about his awesome book, Beneath the Crown. The conversation is going really great. And we want to make sure that we invite 1 or 2 people up on the platform. If you have a question, if you have a comment about today's subject, we want to make sure that you can get a chance to interact with myself and Dr. Aidin Brown. So I'm going to ask that the link be placed in the chat so that if there are listeners and viewers out there that want to come on the platform to ask us a question or a comment or mention a comment about today's show, how it might be influencing or impacting your life. Go ahead and click it, and we will bring you up for your question or comment. Dr. Aidin Brown, we are back. So, what are the biggest misconceptions people have about servant leadership, and how does your book correct that misconception?
That's an interesting one. And I mentioned something earlier, which the biggest one is that servant leadership is a passive approach or it's for the weak. However, let's look at my book, Let Your Leadership, sorry, Beneath the Crown. It reframes it as a powerful strategic approach rooted in strength, intentionality, and courage. Another myth I would add is it's about being too nice. You're too nice. In truth, servant leadership, servant leaders actually often make hard decisions because just like every other leader, they have tough decisions to make, but they do so with integrity, right? And compassion because as a leader, you can't be willy-nilly. However, beneath the crown equips leaders to lead with both heart and grit.
Okay, thank you. With heart and with grit, you said. All
Yes,
right.
sir. And
So,
and
go
if I
ahead.
may add, Dr. Whitfield, I remember a few years ago when I made a presentation with a colleague of mine, and we were talking about servant leadership, passion and service, the 90-degree angle for servant leadership. We speak to the having the grit because servant leadership goes beyond the boardroom. And when you look at the boardroom, you're looking at the community that now you are serving and the people who work within these four walls. How can you impact and influence them outside? So that's where the heart and the grit is. Because if we don't have a heart to serve people, then we have a problem. We have the wrong motive. We went into leadership with the wrong intention. And with leadership today, we mentioned earlier before the promo, you have to have that mental toughness, which aligns with grit to serve the people today.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you talk about a time when passion clashed with purpose and what that taught you about sustainable leadership?
That's an interesting one because when you look at when you look at the passion, service, and purpose, all three puts you in a position of reflection. If you are not able to have that interpersonal alignment with the leadership, then the three will not be effective for you to serve. And to add to that, when you serve, you are serving not from your perspective, but from the people who you are there to serve. When you have the passion, it is coming from within because no one takes up themselves. You have a saying that people said, "Oh, I don't like people, I don't like to talk, or I can't make this presentation, or I'm not fit for this, or I'm not poised for that." But guess what happened, right? If you don't have that within you, you can't serve. And then the purpose, why are you there? Are you there to for your own self? Are you there for your family? Or are you there for the people? So it's about aligning all three with your mission of serving and serving others.
Thank you. I like how you talked about service. We have to serve. Well, a part of service is the perspective of those who we are serving, and that we have to remember that we are in service to others and not uh, in service to ourselves. And so as you was talking, it made me think about years ago when I was in my teens. I don't remember what age I was, but I remember I was in high school. So I'm thinking that I was probably about 15 or 16 years old. I had a job at Red Lobster as a server. And so um, during this time, um, I was the type of person who, when I approached my tables, I wanted to make sure that the presentation was good, that I looked good, that that I smelled good, that I knew what I was doing, that the food that I presented to the people at my table looked great.
Mhm.
If anything was out of order, I would make sure that I didn't bring it to present it to them. And if it was that way, I would make sure that I quickly corrected it. I quickly corrected my service to them. I'm sharing this story because I can remember one particular guy who was a server one night along. Basically, he had a station right next to mine, and he had a reputation of not being so clean, and the presentation of his food was not well because he didn't take pride in it. He would, just throw things on the tray, just throw together salads or whatever, and it just wouldn't look presentable. And so one day, as we were both next to each other preparing our trays to take out to our table, I looked at him and I said, dude, you need to fix yourself. And he said, why? I said, look at you. I said, you got sauce all over your apron. You've got sweat pouring from your face. You got wet hair. Your nails are dirty. I mean, that just doesn't look good. And so he didn't listen to me. So what happened was we both went out. Well, I went out first to present my food to my tables. And so I went and I started sitting stuff. Well, no, I take that back. He went out first. Yeah, that's how it was. He went out first. I came out behind him and I sat my trays down and started to serve my tables. Well, the people that were at his tables looked at his presentation and then they looked at mine. And then I heard one of them say, whose stuff is this? Whose food is this right here? And the guy said, this is your food. And the lady said, oh, no, it isn't. My food must be over there, you know. And I told her, I said, well, ma'am, this is this is my food that I'm serving to my section. He's serving you. And so as I said that, she asked for a manager, and then she told the manager that she wanted me to serve her because the perspective was not, it just wasn't well, right? And I told the guy, I said, I told you, you it's not about you, it's about the customer, whoever it
Yeah.
is that you're serving. If they don't feel like they are being served well, they have a right to request a new servant or server or leader or whatever you want to label it, right? So I say that to say, when we serve, we have to keep the perspective of the people that we serve. We have to consider their perspective, their opinion, um, their feedback, because
Hmm.
that's what it's about. It's not about representing ourselves. It's about representing who we serve. So I just thought of that as you were talking, and you mentioned that we have to consider the perspective of those that we serve.
Yes, yes. And if I may add, I remember also there was a season when I pursued a project and I was passionate about it, but I ignored a few red flags and stayed on my core purpose, right? It led to exhaustion, and this is where the self-care comes into the picture, and misalignment. However, that experience taught me that passion without purpose can become reckless. And sustainable leadership requires discernment and knowing when to pause, realign, and even to let go, because not everything is worth pursuing. But now we have to realize that, hey, we have to draw a line here.
All right. All right, Dr. Brown. So I have two more questions. And then what we're going to do is after we come back from our second commercial break, I'm going to go through a couple of the pages of your book, and I'm going to put something out there that I highlighted in your book, and I'm going to ask you to unpack it for us right here. Is that all right?
Sounds fun.
All right. So, in a culture of performance metrics and rapid results, how do you help leaders embrace the slower, deeper work of purpose-driven leadership?
That's a good one, because when you go into a leadership coaching session or a coaching session, basically, it's about coming out with a win, right? So I challenge them to redefine success, not just by output, by impact. Purpose-driven leadership, right? Take longer, I would say, but it creates deeper roots and more enduring fruit. I use case studies, I would say, reflective exercises and coaching tools to help leaders develop patience and vision and trust in the process. Depth always outlasts speed. And that is what I want them to understand.
I like that. Say that again. That last part.
Depth, depth always outlasts speed.
Depth always outlasts speed. OMG, as my producer would say. I'm gonna rest in that. Absolutely. See, I'm speechless. We'll be right back. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about your book.
Thank you.
In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in Black and White emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
All right. I thought, was that one or two? I thought that was. Uh-oh. All right. Well, we're back. So I have one more question before we get into your book, and it is, if every listener could take just one action after reading Beneath the Crown, what would you hope for that action to be?
I want them to identify one person that they can intentionally serve without an agenda, expectation, or ego. That single act of service can ignite a ripple effect, believe it or not. Leadership isn't founded in a grand gesture or grand gestures alone. It cultivates in consistent, selfless actions and the upliftment of others. So don't let your ego get into the way. Don't let the crown that you're wearing, the fancy crown. And I'll just add this. I remember we used to sing a song in church back in the days. Would there be any stars in your crown? Because one thing leaders must know that when you serve in leadership position, it's not about how many pizza you buy for the team or how many coffee you can put in the break room, but how many people you can produce, how many leaders you can produce to walk in that leadership journey with you or along the way.
Exactly. I remember you explaining that concept in your book as well. Just the fact that you have people who they have followers, but they don't have people that they are producing as leaders to carry out the vision and mission and to continue the legacy. So a part of leadership, you just don't want a bunch of people just following you
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
because you know in reality or in essence, uh, you followership is not the goal. Maybe to a certain degree, and then
Right.
they take up the mantle. But a lot of times, what we see is continuous followership and only one man
Yes.
being exalted. And so that's the wrong concept of leadership because in my leadership, I want to produce other leaders. I don't just want to produce a bunch of people that are passively following me, but they're not actually increasing or becoming better leaders in some aspect of their lives as well, or becoming leaders that are um, significantly influencing the forward progression of the mission that we're a part of.
Yes. And to add to that, Dr. Whitty, is I'm not sure if you are cognizant of it, but of recent, you hardly hear about succession planning these days in corporate.
Mhm.
You hardly hear about succession planning, and I'm starting to think maybe there's a fear amongst people who wear the crown, because you have not many organizations have their supervisor. I remember there's one who actually created a mentoring opportunity for the leaders, the people who serve in leadership, managers and supervisors, to coach and mentor someone to take over or lead a project or something. And I think that is why we're not hearing much about succession planning these days, because a lot of people fear. But this is where authentic leadership matters, because that's what they do. Authentic leaders, I say we don't fear about not holding the position. We want to make sure that, and just use the scenario of Jesus. He created the disciples, and what was his mission, his charge to them? Go ye and make followers. Go create other disciples, spread the word, and share the good news. So our job as leaders is to ensure that that gets done.
Exactly. I have this one thing talking about the inner work of strategic leadership. And you said a leader's mindset is shaped less by what they know and more by how they think. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one? I'm sorry.
A leader's mindset is shaped less by what they know and more by how they think.
Perfect. And to elaborate on that more, when you are a leader and you're exposed to things, an opportunity to develop your leadership, the more you know, the better it is for you to serve. The more you are exposed to what is out there, and I'll just pick a topic, which is global leadership. Not many people realize that if you go to some countries, there are cultural differences that you must be aware of. And this is where I'll be speaking on corporate diplomacy at the ADSL Pros conference in August, because we sometimes don't want to educate ourselves on the things that will enhance our leadership. So the more we know, the better it is for us to impact and influence and make a greater transformation out there, because when you know more, the better is it for you to serve the people.
Thank you. I like how you brought up the fact that it's good for leaders to know about policies, about the culture when it comes to being in another country, because the way we do things in America may not be the way things are done in another country. Um, Case in point is I can remember when I first went to Germany, I was amazed that, I saw, first of all, I was amazed to see McDonald's in Germany, but I was uh, also amazed to see a Walmart in Germany. And
Hmm.
so one day when I had decided that I was going to go to Walmart, I realized that Walmart was no longer there. And
Hmm.
one of the reasons why Walmart did not succeed is because in America, Walmart used to have, uh, I, they could still have it, but I don't think you see it as much. You see greeters, but it's just not the same as it was when they first became really
Mhm.
popular. The greeters would be out there smiling, greeting you, um, and actually sometimes carrying on conversations with you. The bottom line is that concept did not work in Germany because the Germans did not really like the greetings and didn't want to have a conversation. So that was one of the reasons why, and the other reason is because the stuff that Walmart sells was not particularly what um, they didn't like necessarily like we like that concept of everything is in one place, and that just didn't fly because people didn't want to go into one place to buy everything.
Mhm.
So um, sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the times, if you are a leader, you have to do your homework. You know,
Yes.
um, and I'm not just talking just if you want to start a business, you got to do your homework if you want a vacation in another country. Otherwise, you end up in jail for you know uh, releasing yourself out in public or whatever,
Yes.
or
Mhm.
vandalism or what else. If you are um, if you're talking loud or using profanity. So stuff like that. We just have to do our research so that we are better informed and know how to carry on ourselves. So I tell you what, Dr. Aidin, this has been a great conversation. I would love to go more and more and more into this book. I will encourage those that are out there, listeners and viewers, if you want to get yourself a good book that talks about leadership and it's practical and it's not superficial. That's gonna, it doesn't give you any type of magical, you know, it's gonna happen today or tomorrow. But it's really authentic. It's sincere. It's simple reading. Um, get this book by Dr. Aidin Brown, Beneath the Crown. You won't be disappointed. You can find it on Amazon.com. And in just a second, Dr. Aidin Brown is also going to tell you where else you can get it, because he's going to talk to you about where he can be found when he's not on DrWhitty Today. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Witty. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for your audience. Thank you to the audience. The books can be found on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. If you want to get a signed copy, however, you have to order that copy from Monarchs Enterprise, www.monarchs.us. So if you want that signed copy, head on over to Monarchs and you can get it there. But the books are available at Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And my contact information, if you want to get me via email, it's first name Aidin, Aidin.Brown, last name at Monhars, Monhars.us. And Monars, you can reach me at Monars. Anytime at Monars, you can get me. So I'm always here. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm mostly on LinkedIn. Dr. Whitty can tell you that. So
All
yes,
right.
it was an honor to be on your show today, Dr. Whitty. I thank you very much for the opportunity.
It's my pleasure. Can you pronounce the other company? I want to make sure that it was said right and that I know what it is.
For the
Uh,
books,
no, the other company that you're a part of. I think it started with an
oh,
R.
so I'm the executive chairman for Monarchs Enterprise. I'm the president for the Association of Doctoral and Strategic Leaders, DSL Professionals, and I am the chairman for Sapphire Life Inc., Sapphire Life Management Inc., which is a nonprofit organization that deals with youth and community development.
Okay, so I was wrong. It started with an S. Sapphire, right?
Sapphire, yes, that's how it's pronounced. Sapphire, like Ja, but
Sapphire.
Sapphire, yes.
Okay. All right.
Oh, which
Great.
I do have on. I happen to be out and about today. We're doing Sapphire work because we have our back to school thing going on. So Sapphire Live.
Okay. Great. I like that shirt. I'm gonna have to get me one. All right.
Thank you.
So, listeners and viewers, we so very appreciate your time, your consideration, and your commitment to being here to listen to the guests that we bring here on Dr. Whitty Today. We try to make sure that we bring you good information that you can take and that you can help build yourself and others with. We don't want to be the latest gossip column, and we don't want to build this platform off of the I would say the we don't want to build it off of negative things or things that may happen to other people, things that are going on in other people's lives that when you look at a lot of platforms out there, it's just a whole bunch of negativity, a whole bunch of gossip about different celebrities and different people. We want to bring you information that's going to uplift and build that you can use to make your life and someone else around you better. So thank you for joining us on Dr. Whitty Today. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at drwhitty@yahoo.com. Also, you can watch any of my videos on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, X, and YouTube. Also, I have a website if you want to learn more, if you want to book me for one of your events. You can do that at www.drwhitty.org. This has been another great episode, Dr. Aidin Brown. Please stand by for the after show, and then we will see you guys next time here on Doc. Oh, before I forget, I'm going to be live on the American Black and White podcast. I'm going to be talking to Charles King about what coaching is and what coaching is not. We're just going to be talking about that and some other services such as advising, mentoring, consulting, counseling, things like that. I'm going to talk to you about that and just give you a breakdown of the different types of services and most of all, just explaining to you what those services provide. So if you're interested, tune in. It's going to be a great show. Until next time, we'll see you on Dr. Whitty Today. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on Dr. Whitty Today. We appreciate your time, and your viewership is the heartbeat of our show. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and most importantly, subscribe. Your support keeps us going, and we can't wait to have you back. So hit the notification bell to find out each time we air live. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, stay motivated, and stay tuned.